Good afternoon, everyone. It's just 1 o'clock and we're just waiting for last minute stragglers to come in. I promise not to keep you more than a half an hour today. So we have a little bit of a buffer, but while we're waiting for just a few more people to join, I wanted to thank you for joining this webinar today, Old School Skills Meet AI Innovation, How to Stay Ahead in Today's Multifamily AI Era. And I'm super excited to be giving this webinar because as we were preparing it, we realized that it's a real wake-up call and a call to action, but also somewhat comforting because those of us who have been around a while, our old school skills are still valuable. What's also exciting about this presentation is that we have a lot of attendees today, and you guys range from executives in the C-suite to folks at the that have leasing roles, and so we hope that this webinar has something for everyone. All right, with that, I am going to start. So first thing I wanted to do is introduce myself. I'm Ellen Thompson, and I'm officially old school. When I went to college, I had a computer that didn't have a hard drive. We didn't have the World Wide Web when I was in college. I graduated 3 years before that was invented, and the tech that we used was completely different. I had a disposable camera, I had a Walkman, I had CDs, and we made mixtapes, and I did not have a Game Boy. That wasn't my thing, but some of my friends did. So just a very different world. But I grew up and I love to innovate, and I've been in the multifamily industry for 22 years. It's been a real blessing. And I've also gotten to see us go through a lot of industry shifts. I was here when we had print guides and saw the migration to online internet apartment guides. I lived through our mobile revolution, and then we were part of early AI, and now we're more into advanced AI. So there's just been a lot of changes, and we've survived all these changes. That we're going to survive this one too. I just think that this one is a little bit different, and we'll talk about that in just a second. So before we get started, I want to have a little bit. There's a couple of quizzes, a little bit of interaction here. So there is a in the lower right corner, you should see a way to answer this question, but how long do you think it took for ChatGPT to reach 100 million users? So answer in the chat. I'll give everybody about 5 seconds, and then I'm going to continue. All right, answer is 2 months. And that is why this is different. So we've had different technology ages. We lived through that mobile change. We lived through going online. We lived through social media age with reviews and social media driving some of our business. But those shifts took time. They took years, and they really felt fast, but they took years. ChatGPT got to 100 million users in 2 months. It's just super fast. And so, that is why this is just an important topic to be on top of. So what are you here to learn about? First, I'm going to cover a little bit about the use of AI in multifamily in the past, present, and where we're going in the future. And then I'd like to give you some practical steps to future-proof your organization's shift into AI, so you can take advantage of your old school skills and learn how to learn some new tricks. So let's just get started by talking about where we've been in the past. So I'd like to start with what do AI and Elvis have in common, is they both got their start in the 1950s. So many of you have probably seen Alan Turing's Imitation Game, but also we had computers in the 50s that we were training to play chess and checkers. And so that was the earliest AI. That was well before, I'm old school, but I was not born in the 50s. That was more my parents' age, but AI has been around for a while, even though it's something we talk about now. And we've been using AI in multifamily for a long time. I always love to use the example that the first revenue management patent was filed in 2001, which is over 20 years ago. And Donald Davidoff was one of the original patent holders. He worked for Archstone Smith at the time, and now he is also still innovating with Reba software. So we've been using AI for a long time. We just didn't really think of it as that. So I think another big shift in automation was the introduction of tour scheduling. That made a real difference for folks in terms of accelerating leasing and automating that process and letting people schedule a tour instead of going back and forth with emails. And that's something that happened courtesy of Knock in 2014. And then we had our own sort of bit of groundbreaking with AI. In 2017, you started seeing chatbots. We were the first to use natural language processing, which is a form of AI, in 2017. And I like to joke that it wasn't very good, but it got us down the road of using AI. So that is where we've been sort of in the more distant path. But where are we now? So since 2020, the pandemic changed everything. I think that people were more open to technology because we had to solve problems that we didn't solve before. And we also saw a lot of startups hit the scene that introduced really interesting tech. And so I'm going to focus on leasing and marketing tech because that's where I live. But we saw leasing assistants that went beyond a chatbot, that could answer emails or text messages, hit the ground in 2021. We saw centralization and sort of more automations in CRMs start in 2023. And we also have seen voice AI. One of the things that's also really interesting is we released a voice AI that actually remembers the conversation. So we wrote a voice AI product. We had it for a year. We had to rewrite it from scratch because the technology changed so much that now our AI is smart and can remember what was said in the previous conversation. And then where are we going in the future? Who knows? We have some speculation, but it's just the acceleration. If you just look at how fast the acceleration has been of this new tech, we started in 2001 and then, big evolution in 2014, 2017, and then it's come at us fast and furious since then. So, and AI is beyond leasing and marketing. Again, that's where I live, but it's everywhere. It's just getting infused in all of your solutions. So whether you're looking at underwriting software that's looking at where you should buy based on how much profit you can make, or whether it's a safe place to build based on climate change, marketing and leasing, maintenance with predictive maintenance and with sensors in devices. The iPhone is now going to be AI infused with the new iPhone with iOS 16, and your Google and Office apps also have the ability to have Copilot or Gemini, the AI brands of those solutions, directly integrated, making your life a lot more easy. So AI isn't its own platform, it's a technology that's getting infused everywhere. I always like to think of AI as a utility, just the way electricity is a utility. You kind of plug it in and it makes good things happen. So why this acceleration now? If AI has been around so long, why has it taken this long to kind of take off? And I think part of the reason is just cost and resources available. So first of all, there's a really interesting graph on the right side that graphs the cost of computer processing and the number of transistors on a chip. And so there's one of the founders of Intel, the chip companies, Moore, and he has Moore's law, and his theory, which he stated, decades ago, was that you would be able to double the number of transistors on a chip. And so that has happened. So Moore's law is predicted in that straight line, and then you see the actual number of chips that are on transistors. So it's kind of crazy. We just are getting so much better. And every 2 years we're doubling the number of transistors that fit on those chips, and the costs are coming down. The second thing is there's just a flood of capital. There's a lot of money that is being invested in projects that are driving AI. So about half of venture funding, which is pretty significant, is going to fund companies that are using AI. There's also been a huge increase in the quality and skill set of large language models. So large language models are computer programs that can interpret and write and communicate language. And so these are companies like OpenAI, you have companies like Facebook and Microsoft and Anthropic that have their own initiatives. So a lot of the funding for AI is going into these large language models, and they continue to get better and better. So one of the things that I like to use as an analogy is in the last 3 weeks, there's a company called OpenAI. You've all used ChatGPT. The ChatGPT has gone from having essentially an IQ of 80 to an IQ of 120. So that's like going from an IQ that's under average to, literally Barack Obama's IQ is 120. So just that's been such a huge improvement. And as those large language models improve, it just makes everything work better in the systems that are using them. So before I go into the current state, I want to talk about what I think the long-term vision for AI and multifamily is. And I can't take credit for coming up with this. I was on a webinar from one of the big property management software companies, and they made it really clear that their goal is to create an autonomous property management system. And what does that mean in English? It means to create a property management system that runs itself without humans. So I don't think we're going to get entirely the way there, but that's aspirational, and it really does, change things. So again, right now, if we look at the current state, we're using AI in, I think the most adoption is in marketing and leasing, but it's what we're going to also start seeing is smart property management solutions, so that folks who have sensors and locks and other IoT devices will be able to start taking the AI and these solutions into sort of more hardware-driven things. So a lock on the door enables somebody to do a self-guided tour, or allow somebody to let their groceries in and have concierge service. Sensors in elevators are already there to predict whether elevators are functioning, and they can do their own SOS calls and call for their own maintenance. So bottom line is that over time, we're going to start seeing more and more AI through all of our systems, including systems that involve hardware, to get us closer to solutions where you don't need as many people, because that's what, when something's autonomous, that's where we're heading. But are we going to get there anytime soon? Who knows? Because here's where we are today. So the bottom line is that we have the ability today to reduce 40 to 60% of routine leasing work. And again, I'm going to focus on leasing and marketing because that's what I know, but I want to use as an example the company UDR. So they're a publicly traded company. You can look them up. And in their 2024 notice of annual meeting, when you're a publicly traded company, you have to make a statement to your shareholders, and you have to have a proxy statement. They stated that since 2018, they've had a 40% reduction in on-site staffing. Now, they did this through through attrition. They didn't have layoffs, but the bottom line is that as people have left over the last 6 years, they didn't replace 40% of them because they leaned very heavily into automation. So this isn't fiction that this can be done. This can be done today. It's being done by UDR and others. It's not being done by a lot of our customers right now. But the reason they're doing it is real estate or in business to make money. And so they are 300 basis points above their peer group in terms of their NOI, which is huge. That's 3%. So what they're getting really good at doing is controlling their margins, their operating margins. And so that is a fact. That's how they're running their business. They have approximately 3 to 4 dozen properties that don't have humans in them right now. So this isn't the fantasy of the future. This is something that can happen. So automation is transforming routine tasks. It can, you can automate 40 to 60% of your leasing work today. You can automate 95% of follow-up and resident assistance. These solutions exist today, through solutions like ours and our competitors. There's also AI that is working really well on the maintenance side. HappyCo has solutions that are kind of like Uber for maintenance. So if you have a centralized maintenance team and you're looking to organize their day in the most efficient way, they have tools that will already do that. We have tools that will let you empower your residents to do their own maintenance. So, simple things like my toilet is running. Well, maybe somebody just needs to jiggle the handle to make that stop. So you can use resident AI to empower, that kind of self-service, do-it-yourself maintenance. And then we also see, corporate functions have AI. So there are solutions that can read contracts and summarize them or find details. We have a solution that lets you put your HR or operations manuals and have a chatbot, give access to that information to your teams through a chatbot interface, so that you don't have to bug the HR person so much about simple questions like what kind of time off do I get, or what are my healthcare benefits. So bottom line is that automation is here. A lot of tasks can be automated today. Most organizations are not automating as much as they could today. So the bottom line is, the hard truth is, UDR has already proven it, that reduction in roles is possible. So automation tools can reduce the need for staff across different operations. And we also see organizations that are centralizing, and that also takes people off-site. But bottom line is the tools are there. And so AI platforms will reduce, I believe they already are, but it makes sense that over time you will see a reduction in on-site roles, and you may see a reduction in corporate roles as well. So not surprisingly, there is resistance to change. So, we sell solutions like this. We've had pilots, we've had competitors have pilots, and we have seen on-site teams just refuse to use them because they're concerned about job losses, and that's totally understandable. But what we're seeing so far is that, like other revolutions before us, roles evolve, they don't necessarily disappear. What's really fascinating is if you look at census data that keeps track of job titles, literally since 1940, 60% of the job titles, 60% of the roles that we do as humans for work did not exist in 1940 that we do today. So as technology evolves, so do the roles that we do. So we may choose to reinvest and have people specialize in resident experience, or have better retention programs, or help improve the amount of employee training and development around technology solutions, or even specialize in doing data analysis or understanding how these AI solutions are working. It also gives chance for people to be more strategic and have more decision-making roles. So there is a lot of resistance to change, and there always has been throughout the history of change over the last 100 years. But what we're seeing so far is this evolution, and really this webinar is about making sure that you're preparing to be somebody that evolves seamlessly. So of course, this is about old school skills meet new skills. So bottom line is that there are still going to be roles for people with great old school skills. And so what are those old school skills? I like to say they're the skills that I developed when I was at the bar at college, and they're the skills that I developed running this business. So the most important thing I learned at college, and I get some grief for this, is how to talk to people. So for some of you who know me, this may be shocking, but the first apartment association event I went to, I literally was the wallflower. I was afraid of my own shadow, and I really had to learn how to build relationships. And now, as I said, I love this industry and I love the relationships I've built. So those are the skills that are going to really help me be durable in the future, because that helps me understand my customers, deliver excellent customer service. And then along the way, I've also flexed my muscle and learned how to solve difficult problems. So, every day I am faced with a new challenge, and I really make sure that I struggle through it. And those are things that computers can't do, right? So these are old school skills that people had before we had computers and leasing offices. So if you're good at these things, this is never going to go out of style. If you don't like talking to people, it's a skill that maybe you learn to develop. So in addition to those old school skills being important, you can always get better. So I did a practice session with this webinar, and then I did another practice session, and I got a little bit better every time. So you can always improve your communication skills. You can always be more empathetic. I went to a training session a few years ago to improve negotiation skills. I'm still not the best negotiator, but it's a work in process. And you can always challenge yourself to learn how to solve problems. One of the things that we're doing here is, if somebody asks for help, they have to try to solve the problem first, and they have to come with a solution with the problem, because we want people to develop good problem solving skills, and you need practice to do it. So bottom line is, a bot, and automation, and AI cannot build relationships with your residents, and that is so important. We are providing homes to people. People really want connections. People really want to go to events. These are the things that you can do. And if you excel at delivering personalized service, you're going to be in demand, because it's always going to be important to retain our residents. But that said, it's also helpful to have specialized skills. And so AI depends on data. There are certain things that are not, that isn't a lot of data about. So if you can get outside of your comfort zone and develop some superpowers, some super skills, I just have a few here that come to mind, but learn more about asset management, learn about sustainability, understand risk management, understand how to be a masterful community builder, and to measure how engagement impacts your retention. So bottom line is that if you can develop more specialized skills and you can have your great people skills, that will make you more durable in the industry. And of course, tech skills. So bottom line is automation is here to stay, but if you have more skills, the more you know, the more you are, you can be a thought leader in your organization. You can help choose the software, you can help run the software, you can help train yourself to have the roles of the future. So, the first place to start is something you can do today, which is to learn your property management software. I mean, I can't tell you how many organizations that have dozens of properties don't have more than one person who really understands how to train people in Yardi or Entrada. Take courses in STEM related analytics. So Google Analytics 4 if you're in the marketing side, data analytics if you've pretty much any role, or cybersecurity. So we're going through some cybersecurity tests here, and we're going through SOC compliance. So just having these skills helps you become a valuable asset and prevent your organization from having hacks. One thing that I do is I subscribe to lots of newsletters. I read AI blogs. I read blogs about marketing. I read, the newspaper. So just developing sort of a baseline knowledge about our industry, about AI, about the world, helps you, develop skills that are useful and round you out. And also use tools. There are, we have tools that are free. And then there are tools that are in your platforms that help you leverage AI today. A lot of tools are developing analytics that are beyond just showing you a graph. They're predicting your activities. So if you become the expert on using these tools, that's also helpful. And use the tech. Like don't lean into using the tech. Lean into looking for ways to improve the efficiency in your workplace. And if you become the go-to resource for AI and tech, that opens up higher level jobs for you. If you can be the person who understands how to use AI, how to use predictive analytics, you're going to end up in the highest level of your organization. And as I said before, everything evolves. In 1900, 42% of the US population was involved in agriculture, basically helping us, grow or breed the food that we eat. And today it's 2%, right? So again, all those people found jobs. New roles will emerge. And so what's really interesting is as we look at the latest census data, the roles that have emerged have bifurcated. There are demand-driven low-end roles. So for instance, like home health aides to take care of people who are aging. So back in the day, people took care of their parents. Now we outsource them to third parties, but those are low paying roles. The tech roles are high paying roles. So by becoming the person who has the great old school skills and can talk to people and has those tech skills, you can be the person who's the digital transformation leader in your organization. You can be the person who's overseeing the automation tools. You can be the person who's helping optimize processes and be responsible for smoother operations. You can be the leader. Alrighty, so we have a couple of polls that I'd love everybody to jump on and take just so we can get a sense of where you are. So where are you today? So the first question is, where are you today? So your answers can be that you haven't jumped on the AI bandwagon yet, you're evaluating AI systems, you're currently piloting AI systems, you're all in with an AI system, or you're all in with like a whole suite of AI systems. So click that and submit it, and we'll see where everybody is. I'll give you 3 seconds and we'll move on. Alrighty. And that poll threw me out, so now I'm gonna go up. So I see the poll results. So it looks like we have a good split, but we have a lot of people who have rolled out many AI systems, so that's amazing. And then we sort of are evenly split with the rest of the levels. We have one more poll question for you. So how prepared are you personally? So are you behind? You haven't even thought about it? Are you evaluating AI training systems? Are you using some AI but still kind of unsure about things? Are you confident with some AI systems, or are you all in? So we'll give people a couple more seconds to reply to that, and then we'll take a look at the poll results. All right, what do we got? So we got a little bit mixed here. We have people who are all in, and we have people who are kind of in the evaluation stage. So super interesting. So just as a bonus, what else can you do? You can ask, Google Gemini or any of your favorite chatbots. So we asked Google Gemini to, to basically evaluate this presentation and give you some key takeaways and calls to action, and it did a really good job. So you can also use AI just to, take something, too long, don't read, tell me what it is. So bottom line is that AI is transforming our multifamily, and it's going to impact our personal jobs and the processes we do at our sites and in the corporate office. Soft skills remain very essential to handle our residents and our prospects, as we have automation as our co-pilot handling routine tasks. It's helpful to embrace tech, to specialize, and to master some sort of data analytics to be competitive. What are some steps you can do next? Just lean in and learn something new. It could be your property management software, it could be data analytics, and look for tech roles, look to how you can be part of that tech leadership in your organization. And bottom line is you need to adapt and upskill to thrive in the AI era. So again, that's what Google Gemini says, and we kind of agree. It did a pretty good job. So, what are you going to do to prepare? So again, for yourself, take those old skills and get better at them. Get better at your customer service and relationship building skills. Learn some data analytics, and step up and be part of the leadership as you transform and use AI in your team. And for your teams, just start by making sure that you have clean data. AI doesn't work if your data isn't clean, so clean up your property management software. Make sure everybody's learning to master your tech that you have and leveraging new features. Take those trainings. The tech is moving so fast. Make sure you're getting the most out of the software that you have, and start implementing AI and automation into daily tasks. Use AI. Use ChatGPT or Gemini to do your job. So that's all I have for the presentation. I know we may have some questions, and we have a couple of minutes for those questions. So any questions in chat, Lindsay?
Yeah, we have a couple questions. The first one is going to be, how can property managers effectively measure the ROI of implementing AI and automation tools?
So that's the ultimate question, and the way to measure is to test, is to take a benchmark. So it's going to be different for every tech, but let's use just a simple website chatbot as an example. So if you understand what you're trying to improve, you can measure it. So in the case of a chatbot, you're looking to improve the conversion rate of traffic to your website to the number of leads you get. And so you can benchmark and look both year over year and last month and see what that conversion rate is. And then you can see how the conversion rate changes when you put the chatbot in place. And from there, you can figure out what the impact would be in the long run on reducing your advertising in particular.
Awesome, thank you. The second question is, the AI learning curve can be challenging for some team members, new and old school. How can we help our staff feel more confident using the tools we have available?
One of the things that we've done with our staff, which I think applies, is we've had in-person or specifically Zoom-based trainings. I think asking people to do things on their own, go and use AI or, use this tool, log in and figure it out. It's asking too much. We realized it was asking too much as we roll out new features and we need our account managers to understand them, to help our customers understand them. Just sending them a written document and saying, read it, wasn't enough. And so every month, we have trainings that are in person. We let people ask questions, and then, train on things that people are going to use. Give people training on and then a direction to use that and integrate it so they can actually use what they've learned right away. And that's how things stick.
Awesome, thank you. The next question is asking for recommendations on how to improve AI and tech skills from Kia. Are you familiar with any courses offered to improve AI and tech skills, e.g. Cornell University, et cetera?
Oh, wow. There are so many great ways to improve tech skills. So the way that I improve my tech skills is I subscribe to some particular newsletters and I also will do training on YouTube. We have put together a handout to send to everybody after the webinar that will provide some very specific suggestions in terms of depending on what skills you want to improve. So we look for that in the email following this webinar.
All right, and the last question is, how can my team be sure that AI and automation won't negatively impact our personalized service and resident experience?
The last thing we want to do is impact the customer care and prospect experience. And UDR, again, we talked about UDR as a leader in terms of using tech tools and how they've reduced staff. So they also did a pretty good job of measuring the impact. So they used resident surveys and prospect surveys, and they were able to look before and after, and they saw no degradation in survey results. So that's the way to do it. Survey ahead of time, benchmark, and see what your standards are now, and then pilot putting solutions into place and see if that negatively or positively impacts your survey results. So there are lots of affordable survey tools. You know, we have one, but that's the way. You need to test and measure.
Those are all the questions. Thank you, Ellen.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for spending time today. We did record this, and we will be sending the deck around. If you've any follow-up questions, I'm Ellen T at respage.com. Love your feedback about this webinar, and I really appreciate you spending time today. Have a wonderful afternoon, and thank you for your attention today.